welcome to today's session. My name is Gemma Margerison. I'm the Resilience and Recovery Coach, and today I'm joined by photographer Amy Newton. Hi Amy.
Hello, you okay?
Yes, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Fab. Amy, would you mind sort of starting off by telling us a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, no problem. So before I start, can I just apologise for my background? I'm in the process of renovating a house, so I don't usually live in this sort of mess, but I just wanted to kind of clarify that before I started. So I'm Amy and I'm the proud owner of Cherished Memories Photography, and I specialise in weddings, newborns and portraits mainly. I do a few special occasion shoots here and there and commercial based photography, but these are my main focus in my business, these weddings, newborns and portraits mainly.
Oh, fab. It must be really kind of special to be a part of somebody's day. How do you find that?
Yeah, it can be quite challenging. I mean, it's long days as well, so never be hungover on a wedding. But yeah, no, it's really rewarding. You do obviously have to develop that relationship before you actually start working on the wedding for that day, because obviously it's their day and you're spending a full day with them, so you want to make them feel as comfortable as possible. So having that relationship, and you've got to get on with that person. So it can be quite difficult to actually secure wedding photography bookings and newborns for that matter, because at the end of the day you are working with someone's newborn. But yeah, no, very rewarding. It's very creative. You get to explore your own ideas as well as what they want in, so it is really nice.
Fab. And I guess working with particularly with the newborns, do you have kind of little mishaps and funny moments in there?
Yeah, so some of my backdrops have been slightly ruined with, as you can imagine, with when you take nappies off. But yeah, no, the best thing about it is getting to cuddle the babies as you're working through, kind of molding them into position. I say up to 2 weeks old for newborns. So as you can imagine, they're really tiny, very sleepy. So it's great to be able to kind of get them into those positions, and the props, they just look adorable.
Oh, gorgeous. So how did you get into photography in the first place?
So I've always been a creative person, and I started I've worked for photography since I've had my own camera from young, but then I went to college and then I did a degree at UCLan in photography. So I knew that photography was something that I wanted to pursue as a career, and experimented along the way with different types of photography. I went into fashion photography, working for magazines, and then I started to work for friends and family, and absolutely loved the wedding side of things, even though it was quite daunting. At first, I had my sister helping me as an assistant to just for support mainly, and then I realised that newborns were kind of becoming more popular, so I then wanted to experiment with that, started offering my photography services to family and friends in that field as well. So, and then those two, it just kind of grew from there. So something that I absolutely love. Yeah, I got advice from the Propeller team in terms of business, because I didn't really have an understanding of business at all. So I tried twice to set up my photography business without actually properly setting it up and registering. And then when I kind of got the right support, learned about business, the fundamentals, everything from finance to marketing and branding, all of that. I set up my own business in it, and I've done it ever since. I do work part-time in my photography, so it works for me. I work full-time at UCLan in the Propeller team now as a mentor, business mentor. But I absolutely love being able to have that kind of diverse role with my photography alongside what I do. So it gives me a bit of security, kind of keeping in a full-time position. But on the weekends and evenings, it allows me to experiment and explore my passions, which is photography.
Fab. So how does that kind of creative side help you to kind of keep on top of your well-being?
I suppose it just allows me to, it almost, I don't have to think about any of like worries or anything. When I'm actually in the moment, I forget about everything else and I just kind of concentrate on what I absolutely love. So all those kind of worries and all those kind of challenges kind of go out the window of, you know, when it, I suppose everyone overthinks here and there, don't they? So yeah, it allows me to be the creative person that that I love being.
Yeah, fab. So if somebody wanted to get into photography, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say, because I failed, and I'm not afraid to say that I failed twice before I got the right knowledge and experience and the support that was available to me. I'm not afraid to say that I failed, and I'd say advice to anyone is don't be afraid of failing. You know, at the beginning of when you start, it isn't that noticeable if you do make mistakes because you're only starting to develop those followers. So and I say this to a lot of my clients now when I'm in business mentoring, that if they do make mistakes, it's not going to be a massive hit because they're not as well as established at that moment. So don't be afraid of failing. Also, be consistent in what you do. So whether it is your branding, whether it is your business messages, whether it is how regularly you post on Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform you use, kind of be active as you can be. And if you are promising something, if you say you're going to post on a Thursday, if that's your usual day of posting, and then you don't post the next Thursday, then when you do start getting established and get that following up, then it is kind of noticeable. So they'll be wanting to know why you're not posting at that certain time. So it is just a case of being consistent in what you do. I also think networking is really important. It's enabled me to meet so many different suppliers, which has helped me gain exposure in my business. It's helped me meet different people along the way, whether it is, you know, other photographers that have given me a lot of advice in my business. It's enabled me to work with people that has gone on to then allowing me to have magazine publications, which again has helped with my credibility in my business and helped gain sales from the back of it. Other things that I would say is really important to consider in business is terms and conditions is a must. Backing up equipment is a must. I've had a lot of challenges along the way in my business, and not wanting other people to make the same mistakes. Make sure you've got backup equipment. Even if you find it's expensive, if you've got that little bit more extra money, just invest in what you can. And sooner or later, like I did, you start kind of paying for that equipment, you then go on to better equipment. And, you know, now I have 2 cameras I always take with me on weddings. I always have, again, even 2 more backup cameras in my car, which aren't as good, but at least I've got some form of backup. I've got SSD cards, I've got God knows how many memory cards, which is so important. And also because people are starting to work more online, I think websites are a must. A lot of clients say to me, is a website is important to have as a business starting off? And I always say yes. You know, if you don't have an online presence, whether it is on social media or whether it is mainly through a website, it can be questioned as to how kind of established you are in your business. So I say a website is a no-brainer. It's almost like the alternative to having a shop front.
Mm-hmm. Fab. So thank you.
Main things that I would advise if I was going to give any.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I love the fact that you touched on the networking side of things there, because I think photography is seen as quite a solitary kind of activity. Are there kind of groups and things that people can get involved in?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been fortunate within UClan that I've actually it's enabled me to kind of work with the kind of groups like Shout Network, which I've met other business owners in the local area. And I mean, I have kind of briefly talked about me being a photographer as well as being a business mentor at Propeller. So things like Shout Network's really good to meet other local business owners in other areas. You start building up relationships, that sort of thing, and then people use you for your services, and their they recommend you to family members. There's also a lot of different groups that are through and networking events through the likes of UCLAN, through, say, the Centre for SME Development Teams, really good one for business breakfast meetings, obviously when people are allowed back on campus. But yeah, there's a lot of social media groups. I mean, I've joined a professional photography and videographer group on Facebook. I get a lot of advice and guidance when it comes to obviously the pandemic at the moment, in terms of what are other people doing. I've reached out to others to see what they're doing in terms of restrictions, whether they're allowed to actually go out, and is it classed as being able to, you know, go out and do portraits at a distance. I've also given advice from equipment choices of what to use, how to get started. So it's really good. I mean, a lot of people reach out, but also for referrals as well. So it's a good chance to know new people in the industry, kind of work and talk to people, like-minded people, but also for referrals and equipment that if people are getting rid of, they might sell it at a discounted price. So yeah, social media, even if you just typed in a keyword in on social media, like on Facebook, that's relating to what you do, and then put groups, the amount of groups that do come up on that. I also have every time I post on social media, I will then share it to, say, selling groups, so that the local community groups, so that everyone's got a chat, you know, it's gaining more exposure, the more chances of people seeing it. And that's actually where I've got most of my sales from in my business, is through things like that.
Fab, brilliant. So where do you get your sort of inspiration from, or what advice would you give to people who are like, you know what, I really want to get out there, but where do I even kind of start in terms of inspiration and finding things to photograph?
I remember when right at the beginning of when the third time of setting up Cherished Memories Photography, I realised that I wanted to set up completely away from my name, because I thought, I've set up twice under my name and I don't want to be classed as a failure, and I don't want to be associated with, you know, my actual name in photography. So I set up the Cherished Memories Photography. But I remember right at the beginning, my brother-in-law actually said to me that there was a wedding photographer, and he knew that of him a year before this, that he'd set up. He just took his camera out. He literally just went and photographed anything that he came across. And he started to just share it out on social media, on community groups, and the amount of followers that he got from just doing that and just being a bit more creative with his camera. He said, well, if he's doing and making a full-time living, he's actually gone from working full-time in a different place to now doing full-time photography off the back of it. And he said, if he can do it, then why can't you just get your camera and go and photograph? And I remember thinking, I need to develop my portfolio here. And just to start, as I was building up the fundamentals in my business and the kind of foundations in my business, I went out and just started to experiment, whatever I came across detail wise or lighting, just experimented with my camera. I remember getting a new lens and a new lighting equipment, and I thought, I'm just going to test them out and just to showcase what new equipment I've got. So I just got my nephews down a local woods near mine and just started photographing, and then more people started to see it, and that's how I kind of grew in that sense. But yeah, I'd just say any keywords is really good. So sometimes if I'm really stuck for ideas, I go back to my mission in my business. So I'll think about the keywords that I've used in my business and think, okay, well, I'm going to use those to kind of develop some ideas around, whether it is a certain keyword or a topic, a theme. I'll always have it. I mean, I remember when I worked in a fashion magazine, and they always used to work with a different theme every month. So whether it's the word white, so everything, whether it's the advertisements in the magazine, whether it's the editorial shoots, it all related to the word white, or it all related to the word like circular, or any random word like that. So if you're always struggling for ideas, think of a theme and think about developing ideas and mood boards off the back of that. That's something that really helped me. So sometimes I'll think, right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to think about just photographing and capturing black and white imagery. So I'll edit everything in black and white. Or if it is the word green, or if anything, nature, I'll photograph everything that represents nature or represents a memory. So I'll find things that really kind of stand out to me that would imply the word memory or nature in it.
Brill. No, that's fantastic advice. Thank you. So where can people find out more? How can people get in touch with you?
So mainly on my website. I know, and I do need to kind of update my website because I have got a few more recent ones. I know obviously been locked down, everyone's been the same, especially, in the likes of these types of industries, photography, not being able to do it. So I do need to update my website, but Cherished Memories Photography.co.uk is my website. You'll be able to find me on there, on my social media accounts, Cherished Memories Photography, and then the digits 01 at the end of it for both Facebook and Instagram. And if anyone is wanting to get in touch, the other ways of getting in touch is email inquiries at cherishedmemoriesphotography.co.uk, or simply my number 07922 859 879, and more than happy to get messages if you've got anything, whether it's weddings, whether it's portraits or newborns, or even if it is a special occasion you need to photograph.
Brill. Amy, thank you so much for your time. It's been really lovely to have you.
Oh, thank you for your time.
Please please subscribe, leave us a comment if you'd like to ask Amy any questions, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.